Hi everyone, doing a quick microphone check here. We've only got a few seconds left, but I'll pause to make sure that you guys can hear my voice. And if you do hear it very clearly, please say hello in the chat and we will get started. Great. I see Frank is giving me the go that sound is clear. So let's get started with the disclaimer. Get rid of the countdown. Okay, disclaimers. The following videos, clips, and demonstrations are for educational and instructional purposes only. Tradective provides these videos purely for the demonstration for the purpose of demonstrating a method of using the product. Users understand that all the content used in the video is purely for demonstration purposes only and is not a guide and does not provide any indication or prediction of actual results. As a user, you understand and agree that hypothetical results obtained through the demonstration do not indicate in any way the results you may receive on using our products. Welcome everyone to today's sessions. Again, this is the Vitamin T series where we cover very specific and to the point topics on trading. And I am here, Brian Bonatti, to help you guys today with setting up TradeStation. This is our second session on setting up TradeStation, and we'll be covering adding indicators, especially the AutoUFOs, and how to set it up and change its input parameters, etc. You can always reach me at bb@tradective.com. You can also go to www.tradewithufos.com/bb, where you can follow a two-step process on obtaining our AutoUFOs indicator that we'll be showing today. If you have any questions, please make sure you send them here in the chat while we're live, or if you have any questions afterward, you can email me. I'll get it back to you if I see the question by the end of the session or by email. So today's outline, very simple. We are setting up studies in our charts that we started doing on a previous session. We'll be changing the inputs to our UFOs, or at least demonstrating how to do that. And we'll be configuring the number of charts, the number of bars on our charts in order to make sure that we're not lagging when we are trading. So let's go ahead and bring up our TradeStation. So last session we had added 4 charts and we figured out how to customize and link them. I had a question in an email that I'll address here. One of the questions was, is it possible to draw on one chart and have it show up on all the other ones since they're linked? So let me show you real quick. If I pull down the drawing tab here, it'll give me all the tools for drawing. So let's say I want to draw a rectangle, and I draw it across all of these bars on the top left. You see that all the other ones, even though the charts are linked, won't show that yellow big large rectangle in it. And that's really how TradeStation works. I don't believe, I've tried this before and I've contacted them, TradeStation directly in their help desk, and they do not have the tool to draw on one chart and have it show up on multiple linked charts. So if that is what you want to do, you'll have to step through the different time frames yourself. So if I wanted to make this box show up on my daily time frame, I would have to make sure I draw it in whichever time frame and then change it to daily by just typing daily and pressing enter. And you can see the daily time frame now has that rectangle that we drew back in the 55-minute time frame. Okay, so let's get to adding indicators. The way we add studies is by clicking at the top here, and we just select add study from the studies tab. This will provide all of the available studies on TradeStation, and we can select the ones that we want by just scrolling up or down, or if we start typing it, it should bring us to where we want to go. So if I want to add UFOs, because I am a subscriber, it is part of my suite of indicators, I can type auto and it'll bring me down. So I have auto climate. That's another study that I'll demonstrate another day. But today's I want to add auto UFOs. And if I select it, highlight it, or double click it, or press OK, it will add that to my chart. Okay, so that's as simple as it gets. So previously what we've done is add the trend line and the DMI indicators to our common time frame. If you remember back when we were working with TradeStation, we'll be doing the same here. So highlighting this bottom left chart, I can click studies and same process, add study. And let's start with the DMI. So in TradingView, it's called directional movement, but in TradeStation, it's just DMI. Okay, so it's highlighted right there. I press OK, and it'll add DMI to the bottom of my chart. Let's do the same and add a moving average with one line, and press OK, and that'll add to my chart. Now let's edit these studies. How do I edit a study? If I click on studies again, there's an option to edit studies. This is my favorite way to edit it, although I believe you can also select the study that you're wanting to edit, right click, and then edit DMI. So either one works. I just think that this is a little more reliable. So I'll go and edit studies here. And I have DMI selected, so let's customize this. And remember, before what we had in TradingView were the histograms of the up movements, directional movement to the upside, and directional movement to the downside. So we're going to do the same exact thing here. DMI plus, in other words, directional movement to the upside. We want that to be a histogram, and let's make it fairly thick. There we go. And we'll do the same thing to DMI to the downside. Histogram and fairly thick. Let me make sure I got the same thickness. I don't. There, same thickness. Now, this ADX is the average directional movement, and we don't really necessarily want to see that. So all you have to do there is slide this little bar of transparency to all the way clear. So 100% clear, that way it won't show. Now we'll go to color to make sure that we have blue for the upside movement, or sapphire, and ruby or red for your downside movement. Okay, so that's it for your DMI. You'll press OK, and you'll see at the bottom here it highlights everything for us. It looks very scrunched up right now, and that's because we're zoomed out fairly out from the standard size that we usually do, which is fairly zoomed in, so that we get a closer view into the DMIs. I'll change that in a minute. So moving average, we also want to change that. Even though the settings itself are pretty good, we want it just to be a little thicker and clearer for us to see. So we can customize that. Color, you can leave whatever color is most easily visible from your charts. I think this teal color is pretty good, so I'll leave it there. But I will be changing the style. I still want it to be a line, except I want it to be thicker. I believe that will be thick enough for me to visualize, but let's double check. So pressing OK, that will update that, and yeah, I think that's pretty good. So we can select close, and that will close this editing tab that we have open, or window. Now, I had mentioned before that we were zoomed out pretty far, so it's kind of hard to see. Let's go ahead and zoom in. So how do you zoom in TradeStation? Very simply, you can click on the plus and minus little loops that show up at the bottom of the chart that you have highlighted. Or my preferred way is to use your keyboard by pressing up. That will increase the spacings, or down will decrease the spacings, okay? So these are the up and down arrow keys. So I'll press the up arrow key quite a bit, and that's good enough for me. Now, what if I want the scale to move? Then you just do the standard way, which is to just drag the y-axis, the price axis here, and that will increase the scale of your chart. If you want to reset the scale, so if I have it too tiny, I don't want it that way anymore, I don't want it to go back to what it was before, or the standard automated one, again, you go on the bottom of the chart and you select this little refresh button that's named reset scaling. So that'll reset it for us to fit the size of your window. And that's it. That's how we want our DMI and our exponential moving average to look like in our common time frame for TradeStation. Now the important part is our setting of the AutoUFOs. So on this top chart, I'll go ahead and maximize it so we can see it more clearly, and I'll make everything a little bit bigger for us. Okie dokie. Also, TradeStation, one side note, TradeStation 10 changed the dragging, background dragging from TradeStation 9. Before you could do that by just dragging the background itself of the chart, but with TradeStation 10, make sure that you're dragging the candles themselves, or else you won't be getting anywhere. Okay, so back to the AutoUFOs. We have your AutoUFOs. Everything is set to the default. We want to just go ahead and change a couple of the defaults just so we can experience what the differences are, okay? So we again go to Studies and Edit Studies, and AutoUFOs is now highlighted, and I can customize it. And if I go to Inputs, I'll see all of the different input changes that I can make, okay? One of the biggest changes from the Trading View, actually pretty much the only change from Trading View AutoUFOs, is that TradeStation is able to give us statistics on the accuracy of AutoUFOs for our given chart. Okay, so right now it's selected to false. If I highlight it and type in true, that'll now make show UFO stats appear on the chart. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. So here it's saying that our AutoUFOs reach a UFO and go to the opposing UFO 47.63% of the time. So this gives us a statistical measure of how accurate our AutoUFOs are for a market in a specific time frame. Now keep in mind that this is just purely using AutoUFOs. It's not using any of the odds enhancing methods that we have of trading with trend or using Fibonacci or anything like that. It's purely using UFOs. So potentially and hopefully you'll be reaching higher values than 47% in this given market and this given time frame. I see here Tuikond is asking if AutoUFOs works the same on TradeStation 9.5, and the answer is yes. The UFOs have the same functionality, and you can change them the same way. Again, the reason why we are using TradeStation 10 versus 9 is mainly because TradeStation 10 is more up to date, and hopefully performance improvements are made before TradeStation 9.5 is. So this is our statistical measure of the accuracy of our AutoUFOs for this Facebook on 55-minute time frame. Okay. Now let's go ahead and look at a couple different inputs just so we're familiar with them. Customize again. This is the calibration values again. If you're not familiar with the calibration values, please go back into the video on TradingView. I believe it's number 3, but dig around in there. And I explain what the different values for calibration mean, and especially how to use this to your advantage, right? So go back into that video and do some studying there. It's very useful. We can have different parameters here where we can hide hit UFOs, show or hide labels, increase or decrease the font size, etc. These are just appearance-wise changes to the UFO. Use whatever you're most comfortable with. However, these default settings are what we usually use ourselves. Okay. Now, last but not least, Remember, the last video we were talking about TradeStation is that it's more computationally intensive. That means that if we have too many bars loaded on our charts and we're running AutoUFOs, because UFOs are always looking for new UFOs being formed, then it also increases the intensity of the computations that we need to make. So in order to relieve some of that and make sure that our TradeStation doesn't freeze or we're not lagging, we should reduce the number of bars on our chart that have the UFOs on them, okay? Well, how can we do that? Well, we right-click and we go to Data, and then we select Edit Symbol. So bring up a new window in just a second, and you can see that it's showing us how many bars back is our chart going to load. You can do it by day, you can do it by bars, or you can do like when to first start by a date. Because this is more standardized, we like to use bars back, and you need to make sure that your UFOs chart has at maximum 1,500 bars back, okay? If you increase this to anything above this, you're likely to get some delays when you are live trading. So make sure this is at 1,500 or below. In some cases, if you're trading very short term, or you don't really need that many bars back, because 1,500 bars on a 55-minute chart, well, let's go ahead and look back here and see when does that start. So that's all the way back in December of 2019. On an hourly chart, that's pretty much overkill. We're not really going to be looking at UFOs that are that far back in time, because new UFOs are being formed closer to time here, and we're usually in and out of those UFOs more often. So we could even change that to something lower. Let me go into Edit Studies, Edit Symbol, sorry. And we could even use 500 bars, and that'll be a third of the number of bars we have. So back from December will probably be around April or a little bit later here in our charts if we do this. So that's still plenty of bars that we can work with in order to actively trade the market that we're in. And this is especially important if you have multiple UFOs, multiple workspaces, where you're looking at different markets at the same time. You want to make sure the UFOs are up to date, and you want to make sure that TradeStation isn't lagging or crashing on you. So decreasing the number of bars here to really the amount that you're needing in order to actively trade or engage in this market is something that you should play around with. So 500 is, I think, a very acceptable. I think I have a couple charts that are down to maybe 200 bars. Let me see here. This is my actively traded share bar chart, and let's go into Data and Edit Symbol, and we'll see how many I have here. See, I have 200 bars here. Why do I have 200? Because this is a very small time frame chart, and anything that's really farther than 200 bars back is fairly out of date for my trading style, so I don't need that many up, okay? So if you're experiencing some lagging issues or your TradeStation freezes, it's almost certainly because you have too many bars loaded on your chart with the UFOs, okay? So decrease that to 1,500 or less, and you should be good to go. Sometimes we like to use the UFOs on our common time frame to check where to set our target. You can do the same process that we did before by adding a study, and again going to AutoUFOs, selecting it, pressing OK, and it'll add it right there. Okay. And to remove it, all you have to do is select this Enable Studies tab, or you should go to Added, but I like this one here. If you select Enable Studies, you can see all of our studies that are actively in this chart right now, and we can select the one that we want to, or we want to deselect the one that we don't want in our chart anymore, because we won't be having this active all the time, only once in a while. So you can select it again, and it will disappear. Okay. So that's all I wanted to cover today for the TradeStation setup. Our next session is on Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Let me bring my information back up on the screen for you all. Again, you can reach me here at bb@tradective.com. Send me an email there with any questions or recommendations that you might have for future sessions, etc. I'll be glad to get back to you. We have a community Discord channel as well where you can reach me or talk and chat with our group on any setups that you might have or any new ideas that you might have for our sessions here. So I'll leave that description in the bottom of the video here. You can just click the link and it'll add you to the server of the Discord community group. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel here. If you subscribe and you click the little bell on the bottom of the screen, you will be notified when we are live, and that way you won't be missing out on our live sessions and have live discussions and questions, okay? Thanks everyone for coming out today. Again, if you are interested in the AutoUFOs app, you can go into www.tradewithufos.com/bb. You'll follow a two-step, very simple process on obtaining the app for yourself. And we'll see you all next time. Look forward to hearing from you all. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.